Times bestseller, Unhinged. I gotta say, it's kind of fun to watch the news when you are looking at people speaking with whom you have worked, Kellyanne Conway, Mike Pence, and regarding Mike Pence in particular, Jeff was alluding to you having said earlier that you think Mike Pence may be the one indeed behind this anonymous op-ed, but you've heard him deny it. Do you still believe so, and if so, why?
Well, to be specific, I talked about his staff. I went through all of the emails I received from his staff, the memos, the speeches, and just trying to do an analysis of their communication styles. And it seemed very consistent with this op-ed. That's how I came to the conclusion. I put 4 names up. I put Bill Stepien, Johnny DeStefano, Andrew Brimberg, because these are individuals who made comments that would make me think that they would participate in something like this. But everyone keyed in on Nick Ayers. And so I just kind of looked at some of the things that he said to me, that he emailed and he communicated and how he wrote. And it just seemed very, very similar. I don't know. I'm just talking about based on having access to internal memos that were sent from the VP's office.
Well, you have a barometer by which to look at these things. I mean, you were a journalism major in college. So, you know, I'm looking to thinking, okay, well, maybe she knows. How about the word lodestar?
I think people are keying in on that too much. When you work around a principal and you pick up on words, you know, I was actually using the word bigly after working with Donald Trump for 14 years.
Yeah.
So you pick up on that. So it could have been picked up by the staffers who worked around the vice president for a very, very long time.
Okay. The timing of this op-ed, what do you make of it? We have to say, does it also bolster your creds? I think that's maybe a strange way to say it, but the fact is that your book has a certain tenor to it, as did Michael Wolff's book, Fire and Fury, as does Bob Woodward's book coming out on Tuesday, Fear. They all seem to bring pretty much the same in terms of tenor.
And in fact, in my book, I write about the silent army that's working within the administration to make sure that Donald Trump does not undermine our democracy. I was specific when I said that some of them were in the administration and even some of them may have been in his family. I wrote that on page 330 of Unhinged.
Let me have us listen to what the Vice President said about the discussions of the 25th Amendment and whether or not he participated in those kinds of discussions. Here's that.
One of the claims made in the op-ed is that there had been discussion of invoking the 25th Amendment to even remove the president from office. Have you ever been part of a conversation about that?
No, never. And why would we be?
Were you ever in meetings where the topic of the 25th Amendment being invoked was brought up?
You know, we had a little hashtag TFA, which, you know, now that I think about it, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you how often when I went through my text change from the White House, I saw the hashtag TFA, 25th Amendment. Whenever he did something that was just so insane and so crazy and unhinged, when he would flip positions from one hour to the next, we just hashtag it TFA and we keep moving.
So it's a hashtag, potentially. Who would be aware of this?
If you work in proximity with Donald Trump and you provide a decision memo for him, then these are individuals who know that something very, very strange is going on with the President of the United States, and everyone who works in those positions. That's why the definition about senior staff is so key. If you have an opportunity to brief him, advise him, or provide any guidance to the President of the United States, that person is considered senior staff. And I hate to admit it, but that was kind of a hashtag that went around a lot in the White House.
And then TFA, was this just in text? Would it be in emails?
I went through my text very closely, and I had to do this while I was preparing to write Unhinged. And I can tell you that it occurred in my text chains with family members, with staffers, with people who were in the agencies more than 100 times. And I had those text chains, and at the time it was kind of a way that we coped. But now it's not funny, the fact that that was something that was discussed.
With regard to your experience in the White House and knowing the toxicity that we're all hearing about, which you must presume is present as they're running around trying to figure out who this might be, pointing fingers, issuing denials, whatever it might be, do you think the person who wrote the op-ed ought to come clean, come forward?
I have to tell you about an experience that happened to us when there were leaks early in the administration. A member of the White House Council came into Sean Spicer's office, and he made all of us take our phones out, personal and government phone, and they went through our phones. They inspected our phones. They violated, particularly on the personal level, they violated our privacy in that way. I would fear for this person coming forward. I know other people are saying just come forward and everything will be fine. Unless they declare whistleblower protections, then it'd be very dangerous, because Donald Trump and his crew will not stop until they destroy this person to the point where they will never be able to work in government ever again in their life.
So professionally destroyed, but in no other manner, what you're implying. I mean, professionally, they would not be able to get a job in government again, and ruin their reputation.
He would shut them down. He would shut them down in ways that you just can't even imagine. And so I understand why they continue to work in the position they have. And I would say that there's not just one person. There is a silent army of people who are very concerned about the environment, the decision, this complete toxicity that I experienced for those 11 months that I was there, and that continues even to this day, Alex.
So when you saw the op-ed, I'm part of a resistance, you were like, yep, I know those people? You know those people.
Absolutely. The moment that I read it, I thought, good. Now people are aware of it beyond just what I mentioned in my book, beyond some of the rumors that we heard throughout the last year. People are aware that they don't want to see this country harmed by the Trump presidency.
You mentioned going in and having your personal phone be looked at, and it just brings to mind your claims that you recorded every conversation, and you would have had to do that.
I never made those claims. I've read some of them, but it never came out of my mouth.
Straight. Tell me
I
how
think it's
many
important.
you recorded.
Well, I won't disclose the number, because we have to remember that Donald Trump has sicked his entire legal team on me. Right now, I'm in the middle of arbitration with Donald Trump because they want to stop, of course, any more release of the tapes. They want to take me to bat because of the corruption I exposed when Laura Trump tried to bribe me for $15,000 a month to stay silent. And so I have to be
campaign. Right?
Yes, I have to be very careful, because I'm not taking that arbitration lightly at all. But I have to say that I made sure that I documented any kind of exchange that just kind of raised the hairs on the back of my head. Anything that I thought was very harmful, more importantly, to the democracy and to this country, then I made sure that I protected myself in the midst of those discussions.
Did you either ever disclose